much for joining us for When I Grow Up. On this week's episode, I have an air traffic control specialist. It's a job that I don't normally think of, but I'm excited to hear Jay Hyun's story today and and just to hear how he even got into this profession and what it's like to be an air traffic control specialist. So I want to welcome Jay Hyun. Hi, Jay.
Hey, what's up, Blair? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
So I know Jay from college. We've lost touch for quite some time. I didn't even know you were an air traffic control specialist, honestly.
I don't think a lot of people do.
I think what I remember about you from college is that you're really a good musician. and I mean, you're how old are you?
Wow. I am 36.
That's super
36.
young.
Yeah, that is crazy. I had to think about it.
Yeah, because I'm in my 30s too.
Put me in the spot.
But so Jay's older than me, and so in college we didn't really know each other too well, but through social media I knew that you were pursuing this career. But for me, from where I stood, it was kind of out of the blue, honestly.
Yes,
But,
it was out of the blue for me.
So, Jay, can you tell us what is an air traffic control specialist?
Yeah. So an air traffic controller, I think a lot of people first would think of like the dude with wearing a vest with the orange glow stick.
Yeah.
Like they come into the gate. It's actually not that. Air traffic controller, the most important thing is safety, first and foremost on the job. Because we're directing traffic in and out of an airport through our airspace. And during that time, we're guiding airplanes, telling them how to and when to land, when to take off, and go on to their destination, basically.
So you're sitting in that tower that we see from the airport?
So our facility, so I'm in El Paso, Texas.
Uh-huh.
I work at the airport there. And we have both facilities. So we have a tower, which is separate from the terminal.
Okay.
It's about 10 stories high so that we can have like a bird's eye view of the whole airport.
Okay.
So you can see every inch of the airport so we can have a full view of their aircraft. And we also have a radar facility within the building, which is on the bottom floor. So we have the luxury of working both. So the radar facility is more responsible for the immediate surroundings of the airport.
Okay.
Extending about 55 miles. And then the tower is responsible for the immediate airport, about 5 to 10 miles in diameter around the airport. So it's like different responsibilities.
As far as like the aircrafts coming in and out, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just talk to me like I know nothing, because I don't.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So, I mean, what is your work schedule like? Do you go in every day or?
So, yeah, the job itself is 24/7 operational. So there's people working midnight shifts. And I think this is probably one of the downfalls of the job is we do shift work, which is we have to work around the clock. So we divide it all up. So I work 5 days a week, 8 hours. And I start off the first 2 days working afternoon shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 2 days is a morning shift. And then followed by a midnight shift. So that's a typical shift. Yeah, that's probably the worst part of it, I would say. But yeah.
So, but you do get days off in between?
Oh yeah. So we still work 5 days and then 2 days off.
Okay.
That's typical.
So I have to ask you, like what I do know about air traffic control is like just what the media tells me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember, I don't know, like 2015 maybe earlier, like there was like controversy about
Yeah.
just air traffic controllers being fatigued. Is that
Yeah.
like, is there some truth in that or?
Yeah, you have to make sure you work around a schedule where you're getting adequate sleep. So that's very important
Uh-huh.
part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure you're well rested. And I mean, surprisingly, you do get used to the work and
Mm-hmm.
the shifts
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I don't have to do graveyard shifts
Okay.
because
That's
actually
good.
people do like those shifts. And so I've actually managed to give it to somebody else that likes working them for me.
Oh, okay.
So instead of another midnight shift, I would just work another morning shift to
Okay.
cover for them. Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
that is a problem. And we actually do have excused absence if we do say, like, I can't do it today.
Okay.
You
I mean,
guys.
yeah, because these are people's lives, I guess.
Yes. There are severe consequences if
Yes.
you can't do your job. Yes.
Yes. I mean, with this schedule like that, like, so you do have a family, right? You have
Yes.
two really cute kids and a wife at home. Has that ever been a struggle, like just balancing the job and family life?
Um, yeah, I definitely think so because we work around the clock, and so we bid our days off.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my weekends, luckily, I got lucky this time. My weekends are considered Sunday and Monday. Those are my days off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got lucky with that. Usually it goes by seniority, and I'm right around the middle at our
Okay.
facility. But last year I had a Wednesday, Thursday weekend. So I
Oh,
would work from Friday through Tuesday.
oh my gosh.
And my weekends are Wednesday, Thursday. So that is, yeah, like I said, shift work is probably like the,
Downside?
yeah, the downside of the job.
Yeah.
Um, Kat didn't like it at first, but I think right now it works out for us because of our kids. We have a 5 and a 2-year-old.
Uh-huh.
So like they're flexible enough. They just go to daycare.
That's
And so
true.
my
Yeah.
weekends work out. Yeah. But when they do grow up and they have like more activities on the weekends, that'll
Mm,
be more challenging, I'm sure.
yeah.
Hopefully I have enough seniority by then.
How long have you been doing this now?
I have been doing it for 4 years. So I
4 years.
got, yeah, picked up in 2016 at March. I reported my first day in March. It's been a little over 4 years now.
Oh man. So what okay, so one thing I wanted to ask, because like for me, I think of air traffic control, like they're sitting, in front of a screen and they're
Yeah.
like, telling pilots like where to go and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I only know this because my son is obsessed with the Disney movie Planes.
Oh,
And
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're like telling the main plane character Dusty like where to go, and like their other planes are getting mad because he doesn't know where to go because he's just a crop duster. Sorry,
Yes.
conversation is
Yeah.
not going the way I intended it to, but you get what I'm saying. But anyways,
Yes.
um, so are you like, yeah, what does it look like? Just being there and doing the job itself. Like you have to communicate with pilots,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then,
So, yeah, essentially the pilots are trusting us to guide them and direct them. So I guess the FAA kind of puts it like the air traffic controllers are responsible for a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic. So
okay.
managing the whole U.S. airspace. And so that requires us to communicate with the pilots. Okay, we need you here. Um, Sometimes we need them at a certain place by a certain time,
Uh-huh.
or sometimes it's just aircraft will coming from four corners of your airspace. So there's radar, right? If you're looking at your radar screen, so you have planes coming in from four different corners, but we also have airplanes departing. So you're trying to basically, first and foremost, safety, making sure those airplanes don't get close, but then also ensuring that there's minimum delays coming in and out of the airport. So
So the planes can't see each other?
The planes, I mean, so they can, but it's difficult. It's a big sky, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. I mean, yeah.
And they're
I,
big
I,
big vessels too. It's not like they have
yes.
to, like, time
Yeah.
everything correctly, I guess.
Yeah. So, like, you have to think about it. Like, uh, they're traveling anywhere from 200 to 600 knots, miles per hour in the
Uh-huh.
sky.
Uh-huh.
So, if two airplanes are going head on, their closure rate will be 1,200 miles per hour, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
like, we have the bigger picture. We basically have a bird's eye view of everybody coming in and out of our airspace.
Okay.
So we have to come up with a plan. Okay, and have the be able to foresee what could possibly be a conflict versus if I take him this way, there won't be any conflict.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it's
Okay.
all instantaneous too. And of course, not everybody's perfect, but the job, I think that's why it is stressful because you have
Yeah,
to think on
that's
your feet.
stressful. Are you kidding?
And you think of it as like kind of like an assembly line. Like our work is kind of like broken up by
Uh-huh.
position.
Uh-huh.
So there's a
Okay. Okay.
controller
So it's like
first.
you do your job and then the next person.
Yeah, and so you
Okay.
have to all be a pretty well-oiled machine. So like
Okay.
the tower has like four different positions,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like an assembly line. The pilot will call up the first controller.
Uh-huh.
Which that controller in the beginning will give them their clearance, basically
Okay.
their flight plan. So
Uh-huh.
this is how you're gonna fly from LA to Atlanta.
Okay.
So this is your route, okay? And so once that guy gets it, he'll go to the next guy. So that guy will talk to the next controller, which is the ground controller.
Uh-huh.
And the ground controller is responsible for taxiing the aircraft from the gate to the runway.
Okay.
So it's
Uh-huh.
like a puzzle. It starts to become a puzzle at that point because you have to figure out how are all these aircraft going to taxi the runway and in which order and who first.
Okay. So
And
after the
so
ground
yeah.
controller, who's next?
So the next controller is called the local controller, which is responsible for departing and landing all the aircraft and
Okay.
figuring out the order for that too.
Okay.
So because like based on like of course Atlanta, that's probably like the busiest
Mhm.
airport known, and it's a whole nother beast. But you know, like everybody has a critical release time too sometimes, so they
Mm.
have to leave at a certain time, and so it's kind of like yeah, you have to figure out. They're constantly problem solving on the job, trying to figure out okay, this guy has to go first, so make it happen. So they'll try to find a way to fit him in into the assembly line and then get going. So after the local controller departs the aircraft, from
Uh-huh.
then on, it's the radar controller's responsibility to get that aircraft and to get them safely to the next destination. So they basically pass them off. So like for us, we have 55 miles around the airport
Mhm.
and up to 17,000 feet. So before they get to that spot, we hand them off to the next sector, which is another facility in Albuquerque.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an assembly line, like I said.
Okay.
And I guess the part that is difficult is, all right, if this isn't working, there's no like machine to say stop or pause
Right.
because aircraft can only go forward. They can't even go backwards, you know.
Right.
So like if something's wrong along the assembly line, okay, you just have to figure out a way to fix that while things are still moving.
So do you enjoy that? Like the problem solving part of it?
I do. I think well, if I went to Atlanta, that might be a different story because they have this insane amount of volume. Um, but I think, like I said, like the order and I guess the goal of the FAA specifically says safe, orderly, and expeditious. And I think there's an opportunity for you to do that every day,
Mm.
multiple times,
Mhm.
because it's so specific. I think you get those little victories. Okay, that was a good, well job done. Like,
Yeah.
so you kind of pat yourself on the back. All right, nobody was in harm's way.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
good to go. And I think that's very gratifying. I
Mm.
think. And if you do have a bad day where I probably could have made that easier on myself, you have another opportunity to have a good session too.
Right. Wait, so
So
what
it's
would a bad day look like for you in like specifically?
bad day. All right. So radar is probably more busy for us because we're just dealing with more airspace and
Mhm.
dealing with a lot more aircraft. So probably just be like if you have a sequence of anywhere from 4 to 8 planes,
Mhm.
like, and it's basically up to your judgment and your decision making to make that work as efficiently as possible.
Right.
And a lot of times, like, you're just you learn they give you techniques and ways to figure out, okay, this guy should probably first and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
But a lot of times the plans don't really go as that's what you're expecting, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes pilots will do something else than what you have instructed because there's obviously communication errors. Like I could have said something, but they could have heard it a different way. I could have said turn right, and they accidentally hear it turn left.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, like, if one person in the eight does something you weren't expecting, it's your job to hurry up and catch it and then get it to work again. That's it. Yeah. So a bad day would be when your plan doesn't go as you expected,
Okay. Yeah.
and you're just having a difficult time to recover. So that's kind of a bad day. Like, but it could be that's anybody's bad day, right? Like,
Right, I guess, but it just seems a lot different since you're dealing with aircrafts filled with people.
yes, yes, exactly. So, like I said, when it comes to that, okay, I just have to keep it safe.
Sure, yeah.
This isn't
Yeah.
working out.
Yeah.
Hey, my plan isn't going to. Okay, I'm going to keep it safe. Some people have a slight delay, but I'd rather have them safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I mean, I'm assuming you're trained in all of this.
Yes.
Like you're prepared for these kinds of moments, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm before I like ask you more questions, I am curious to know, you didn't study any like study this in college, right?
No, I did not.
So where did you go to college and what did you study there? And then how did you even come to this like trajectory in your life to get
Okay.
far? Like that's so crazy. Okay, so yeah.
Yes. All right. So I graduated from Long Beach State. I
Mhm.
did liberal arts, which is Asian studies and Asian American studies.
Okay.
Originally did it probably just to graduate.
Okay, I was
And
gonna
also
ask
I
you
was,
why that? But
yeah. Well, I think I was kind of dabbling into missionary
mm,
work I was interested in, and I had gone to China for a year for stint, which
that's
is
right.
a short-term mission program with Campus Crusade.
Mhm.
And so that I was interested in it. I was learning Chinese overseas there, and then I brought it back here, and I was trying to continue to learn, and I needed to graduate. So I was like, all right, I just need to do this. um, and yeah, of course, we graduated during the recession, which was in 2008, and I
Yes.
graduated in 2009. And the job market was bleak. I had friends getting laid off.
Mm.
Everybody was having a difficult time. I had graduated, and all I had to show for it was a piece of paper and about $20,000 in debt
Yeah.
from student loans. And right before I graduated, I there was a career fair at Long Beach, and I had gotten a chance to speak to somebody from the FAA. The FAA had come, and I was speaking briefly with the guy, and he was like, "Hey, you should look into air traffic control. We're looking for people." I was like, "All right." And then I took his card, and I was like, "I'll look into it." And I looked at some other positions, like jobs, like FBI, CIA. I think I was going more towards like government work if I didn't
Uh-huh,
pursue
uh-huh.
missionary work because my friend was working in government work, and they had it seemed good for family life, like a
Mm.
good work balance. So I was like, all right. Um, and so I come to graduate, and I was lost. Like I think a lot of people are just come to a point where they're paralyzed
Mm.
by indecision, like,
Mhm.
what do I do? Well, so like you said, like I was looking into music, possibly ministry and missionary work, maybe teaching overseas.
Mhm.
And those are kind of like the obvious ones. I think people are kind of assuming that wouldn't be too much of a curveball for me to go into. And I was, you know, struggling with, well, which path should I take? If I do this, this will happen. But what if I'm not good at this? And I remember talking to my dad in the car, and he's like, I was venting at him. I was like, I don't know what to do. I got my college degree. That's all
Mm.
I really had set. I was like, all right, I guess the next part will figure out itself. But I think with the circumstances that I was going through, my dad, of course, a man of few words, gives me, rather than give me a straight answer, he's like, he literally told me, he like looked at me in the car, he's like, what do you think is easy? Like, when you turn off your car and you try to turn your steering wheel, is it easy? So like, where's he going with this? Like, what's
Okay.
he trying to say? Is he not listening to me? I was like, it's obviously hard. And then he's like, all right, well, how about if you turn on your ignition and start going forward, can you turn your wheel easier? He's like, and I was like, yeah. And so he's like, and he was basically telling me, sometimes you just got to move forward. You got to make a decision.
Mm.
And when you make that decision and you start going forward, you can turn to the left if it's not right. You can turn to the right if you're not going the right way. And he was basically saying, you'll never know what to do if you don't, unless you go forward. Like,
Wow.
I guess that's true. It was like, like I see where he's going now. It's like,
Yeah. Wow.
so I was
That's
like,
really
okay,
wise. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
definitely. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh my god, where's he going with this? And so I think from that, I was like, okay, that's true. Like, what am I gonna do? Just worried about if I'm not making the right choice.
Mm.
I There's only one way of figuring out if I am doing the right thing or making the right decision, and that's to go forward. So from then, I kind of researched like the Music Institute in Hollywood for a bit to look into music producing.
Oh, wow. That's
I
cool.
was looking into KCCC,
Uh-huh.
possibly. I was talking to some people about that. And then I
KCCC is
remember,
Korea Campus Crusade
yeah, Career Campus Crusade,
for people
correct,
that
which
don't
I
know.
was
It's
involved
the
with.
para
Yeah,
ministry on campus.
yeah. And so, and then I looked at air traffic controller and I did my Google research. I was looking into, I was talking to people. I didn't know anybody in air traffic, like a lot of people don't. So I had to rely on Google. I think the first thing that caught my eye was honestly, it was in the list of highest paid jobs with just a high school diploma.
Oh,
So you can
wow.
make six figures. Yeah. You're able to make six figures with just a high school diploma if you get hired. And so that was
Really?
appealing.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the second appealing thing was that it was a government job,
Mhm.
which I was looking into. And yeah, job security. So that was government job security. So those are things that kind of fell into it. So I was kind of going back and forth with those three things. And I found a route to be able to pursue air traffic controller, which didn't require me much money to spend or
Mhm.
go into more student loan debt. And it was feasible compared to the other ones. And so, yeah, that's how I started. So I enrolled myself into a collegiate training initiative program, which is sponsored by the FA.
Okay.
So I'll send you a link. I'll
Yeah,
send you a
please
link
do.
regarding that. So there's about, I think, 37 colleges that have a CTI program, which trains air traffic controllers. So you could do like a 2-year AA degree, or you can do a bachelor's.
Okay.
And so for me, I already had a bachelor's degree, so I just had to go for 1 year to fulfill all my requirements
Oh, okay.
at Mount SAC College in Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I did that, but just because I did it didn't guarantee me anything. I mean, I might get a few bonus points on my
Uh-huh.
application,
Uh-huh.
but it was, yeah, it was just something to put on my resume when got hired.
Wait,
So
I don't think I understand what you're saying.
okay,
So by going to Mount Sac and taking that year, you're saying it wasn't
well,
beneficial, or I
it
don't.
was for me. While when I looked into it, did the research,
Uh-huh.
yes, it was beneficial, but of course, I fell into like a bad. The timing wasn't good for me because this is a federal job and the FAA needs funding in order to hire people.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And typically, the FAA does two hiring bids a year, and
Oh.
one is for the CTI grads off the street and basically people with experience. So
Okay.
those are the three that can apply
Okay.
once every year.
Okay.
Second one that they put out is usually for people with experience, which is basically exclusive to military people.
I see.
So those are the three routes you can take.
Okay.
There are some people that are able to get hired directly,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
without any CTI or military. But
How
it's
would they get hired?
so they had that hiring initiative where I think the most difficult thing about the FAA that has trouble with is retaining or uh, um, for people to be successful controllers. Like I think they were having difficulty with people being successful at the
Uh-huh.
job.
Uh-huh.
That they're like, well, we don't really know what makes a good controller.
I
They
see.
still to this day they're still studying researching
Mm.
what makes a good controller. And so I think that's part of their initiative. Well, we can only find out one way. So they
Mm.
do hire people directly from off the street. So CTI is beneficial and does raise your chances of getting hired. But there are also opportunities to get hired without the CTI degree.
What's a
So
CT?
that
What does CTI stand for?
so it's Collegiate Training Initiative.
Okay.
It's an FA sponsored program.
Okay.
And there's about, like I said, I think there's like 37 schools that are officially sponsored.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so Mount Sac, luckily there is one school in Southern California that I did my research on, and that's how I enrolled.
I see. So, okay. So after you graduated with a year of that collegiate training,
Yes.
um, then what happens? You put in
So,
your
so
resume?
that was the other problem. Yeah. Because it's a federal agency, the FAA is, you apply through usajobs.gov. That's where
Uh-huh.
all federal job postings uh, all occur. So every hiring bid is specifically and exclusively on that.
Okay.
And so you kind of have to be, yeah, and I can tell you whenever the next hiring bid comes up so you can post it or share it. And I usually do post it and share it whenever it comes up.
Uh-huh.
You have to stay pretty much informed. And not only that, they only leave it open for a certain period. I think the the amount of people that apply it's an insane number,
Oh
and
man.
so they keep it open for only a limited number of applicants.
It's an
So
insane number. A lot of people want to be in air traffic control.
I think they're very appealed by the pay.
I see. You're right.
Yes,
Who wouldn't
it
be?
is a stressful job, but then I think as a government employee, it is a actually pretty well paying job.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and so after I went to school, I think I finished that program in 2010, 2010, and it took me 5 to 6 years to actually get picked up, and that's how difficult it was to get picked
Five
up
to
from the
six
FA.
years?
Yeah, yeah. And so for me, I was actually just like your friend. I was like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, so I just started working in the private sector. Um,
Oh.
and I didn't know whether it was going to happen or not.
Wait, the private sector?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, I just started working for companies. So,
Oh,
like,
okay,
I had,
okay. I see, I
yeah,
see.
different jobs.
Okay. Until you
Yeah,
got hired.
yes. So until I got hired, I couldn't just wait for 5, 6 years. Like, I had to live my life. I had to
That's
figure out how I was
true.
going to pay the bills. And like I said, it's extremely competitive. There's I think the FAA put out that there's 14,000 controllers nationwide. So it's a really small number of people that do this job.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So like once you get hired, there's more training, right?
Yes, training is another downside of the job, but very necessary because it is stressful. So once you do get hired, they'll send you a temporary offer letter saying, okay, we're going to offer you the job. And I applied during that 5, 6 year span. They maybe had 3 hiring bids, and I applied to all 3.
Oh my
And
goodness. I'm like
yeah,
shocked.
yeah, it is. It's very difficult to get into.
I guess I'm just
Uh,
shocked that like you had a plan and then you had to wait,
yes,
you know? Okay, anyways, okay, yes. And then
yeah,
to the
and
training. Tell me
so
about the training a little bit.
yeah, and so they sent me that letter out of the blue. I got a voicemail from somebody, and this is when I was working at KBS, I think.
Okay.
I was working at KBS
Like
America,
television?
working as yes
Okay.
for the station in LA as like a marketing account manager. And I get this random call. Of course, I don't pick up because I don't recognize the phone number. And then I get the phone call, and I was like, I couldn't believe like I was hearing that I just got picked up.
Right.
But then also, what settled in was fear. It was like uncertainty. I was like,
Yeah.
because at that point, I already had Gideon, who was probably barely 3 to 4 months when I got that phone call.
Uh-huh, your first
We
son,
had
yeah.
yes, and we had just bought a house in LA, and I was slowly starting to get established at my work too.
Oh
And so it was
man.
like everything was kind of comfortable at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like I probably didn't need that phone call at that point. And so of course it was like a huge decision. Not only that, if I take the job, I'd first have to quit my job and then leave my family for 3 to 4 months. And then that didn't guarantee me a job either. I'd have to perform there
Mm.
in order to get a job. And so it was a really big decision for myself and Kat. And yeah, I'd have to give credit to Kat because she was the one that told me to pursue after it. I was like, really? Like she's like the last person that I would expect to want to leave LA. Like,
Yeah.
and that was the other thing. Even if I did get a job, we'd be, yeah, we'd have to relocate. Was a very high possibility. And yeah, I was lost. I wasn't sure what to do. I was comfortable at my job and comfortable where we were. And so, but yeah, like I said, Kat was the one who flat out told me you should probably pursue it. We were praying about it. Like it was probably a prayer that was just happening. Like it's just like one of those things. Thank you for this meal.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah, it was kind of like that. And
Yeah.
if this happened, so she did mention she was like, well, we've been praying for it, and you wanted to do this, so I think you should probably do it. I think this is maybe a sign from God. I was like, yeah, this is going to require a lot of faith. Like I'd have to be able to do this, quit my job, like I said, leave my family, and go for it.
That's insane. I'm like
Yeah, yeah. Like I, I credit Kat. I was really not even thinking. I was thinking about not doing it, and I spoke to my pastor. My pastor was like, "Just stay here." He wanted me to stay in LA, but
Yeah.
so yeah, so we decided to do it, and so once you accept the offer, you get a class date to go to Oklahoma City, which I was talking about, which I'm required to leave, stay there for about 3 to 4 months, learning everything about airplanes, learning everything about the rules, learning a whole new language because there's a standardized way of communicating with a pilot, so there's no
Sure.
confusion. Yeah, because there can't be any confusion with what you're trying to tell them to do. And so, yeah, like it was do or die for me. So I had really good friends that I keep in touch till to this day at the academy. where we did group studies every night,
Mm-hmm.
where like they had the same mentality as me because a lot of them had to leave their profession, quit their jobs too, and then try to pursue after this.
Mm.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on, I think, everybody that was over there. And I was lucky enough to have a really good class, which
Mm-hmm.
all had the same mindset. We studied together on the weekends, the whole class. It was a class of 18. We'd had really good instructors, which I've heard a lot of people not have.
Mm.
And so, yeah, everything really worked out. And those 3 months come to an end with your evaluation test. You work on simulators, and the last 3 days they evaluate you on how you learned, how you grasp the rules, and how you're able to apply them with actual simulator aircraft. So you're talking to a computer and trying to work an airport.
So like on those simulators and the tests that they give you and the evaluation, do they like, you know, make it difficult on
Oh
purpose?
yeah, oh definitely. So the job, yeah, like I said, the FAA invests so much money into these trainees, and then even after the academy, you go to your facility, but people don't make it, you know?
Mm.
So their job is to eliminate people as soon as possible. If
Yeah.
this person doesn't seem like they can do it, all right, we're trying not to spend that much. We're trying to spend that much less money on people. So the test starts off. Actually, the point system starts with you starting at 100 points,
Mm-hmm.
and you get uh
Docked
yeah,
points?
you get docked for every mistake you make, and
Oh my God.
the highest mistake you can make is a 16 points, and they just continue to, yeah. So it is like extremely stressful. My roommate out there, before his evaluations, I remember him throwing up.
Yeah,
Some
I want
people
to
are,
throw up just thinking about
yeah,
it.
yeah, like people cry like if they don't do well. Like it's super intense. And then if you do fail the test, they escort you out in front of everybody. So you get like through the walk of shame, walking through like
Oh
a bunch of
no.
people cry. Yeah.
Gosh.
And that's, yeah, it's super stressful. I think they need to make a reality show. I doubt they will, but it's,
So,
yeah,
like, can I ask you, like,
yes,
did you get docked points?
of course, of
Like,
course.
so what is like the failing grade? Like, what is,
So you need to pass with, I believe, a 70%.
oh, that's still really high. But like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
Like you said, like I said, you can get docked 16 points in one instance,
like, oh my
and if you don't, like, so they call one of the evaluators called nickel and dime because he'll just dock you for whatever
God.
little mistake. Yeah, and so sometimes you have to fight for your points. There's people that did that too. Where like I don't think you rightfully docked me for these points, so
Oh
they
man.
also go back and do that. But yeah, and I remember my last test. I think I needed like a 60 or higher on my
Uh-huh.
last test. And of course, I'm just like antsy. I need to do well. And I remember seeing this text from Kat. She texted me saying, "We're proud of you no matter what." And I was like, "Oh!" I was like trying to fight back the tears right before I go into this
Oh.
evaluation. And yeah, obviously I passed because I have the job. But I remember working across from a person. So you go in as a group, like a team, like I said, assembly line. So I'm
Uh-huh.
working ground, which is a person taxiing aircraft from the gate to the runway.
Uh-huh.
And I'm working across from another person who's working local, which is departing and arriving aircraft and being in control of the immediate vicinity of the airport. And that person failed.
My
Like I
gosh.
was working across somebody that was failing like
Oh my gosh.
miserably. They went negative points.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm here working, trying to make sure that that I manage to keep it sane because this person is just like,
Freaking out, I'm sure.
yes, losing it at that point. And so
Oh
it's like,
gosh.
so
I
yeah, so that whole experience was very
but
scary.
hearing it is like really reassuring for me as somebody that like I don't really travel well, but like it's good to know, that the people directing the aircrafts that I'm in
Yeah.
have really solid training. So I'm very thankful. So like, I'm curious, like, so your first day on the job, like,
Oh
was it
yeah.
nerve-wracking or
Yes, of course. It never stops until you get fully certified. Which on average, once you finally get to your airport,
uh-huh.
assigned to airport, it takes an average of 18 months to 24 months to get fully certified
Oh,
for the
okay.
whole
So do you
facility.
have somebody like kind of watching you before then
Oh
or
yeah, yeah.
okay. Okay.
So you're doing on the job training. So then after you pass the academy from Oklahoma City, like I said, you get assigned a facility to go to, in which my case is El Paso, Texas. And of course, I knew nothing about El Paso. Like I literally watched Sicario the weekend
Uh-huh,
before I was supposed to go, and in Sicario they have a scene of El Paso where they're on the rooftop and they see
I
bullets.
remember it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yes. So like to reassure myself, I had to Google El Paso and how safe it was. And surprisingly, it's like one of the safest cities in
Mm.
America, which a lot of
Oh,
people don't think. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I mean, I don't have any thoughts about El Paso if
yes,
I'm
exactly.
honest,
I didn't even know where it was.
but
I had to Google where it was. And so yeah, so I went there first day of work. I get there. I meet the manager who's in charge of the whole facility. We meet
Mhm.
everybody there. But honestly, it's a mix of emotions like anything else with this job. It's like excitement, being nervous,
Mm.
knowing that you're gonna have to prove yourself every day
Mhm.
because they're gonna scrutinize you. They question everything that you do. Your trainers do
Mhm.
because they know what's at stake. And so it's really stressful. Like, not only are you thinking of the safety of the aircraft, but you're also like wondering if this person thinks I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, yeah, so there's just a lot of, I think, yeah, training is probably one of the most stressful parts of the job because
So,
you are scrutinized.
um, we're talking about it and we're also you're articulating that it is stressful, but like, do you enjoy it? Is there
Yes, I actually do. I know. I don't want to scare people away. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like I remember talking to a nurse while
Uh-huh.
my daughter was in the NICU because she had something like in the beginning of her birth that she had difficulty with, and they were just killing her. You know what I mean? Like because they had to do all these tests, and they couldn't do this one thing where they had to stick a needle in her, and they just couldn't do it. Like I went to go eat lunch because I was getting so stressed out from hearing her cry.
Right.
When I came back from lunch, they're still doing it to like this newborn baby, and I was like, I went in there. I was like, you guys have to stop. You guys have to get somebody that can do this
Mm,
because I'm not gonna let you guys do this anymore.
mm,
And I remember losing it on them. And later on, like I think a couple days later, I met the nurse. We met again, and I was like, I'm sorry. I had to apologize to her, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like I know this job is stressful for you, blah blah blah. And so she happened to know that I was an air traffic controller because we had talked earlier.
mhm.
I was like, this looks way more stressful. Like
Yeah.
my job, honestly, is like you have disgruntled parents yelling
Yeah.
at you. You're trying to do your job. Um, no, like I said, it's very gratifying
Mm,
knowing that, yeah, like how many lives and how many people you're responsible for
mhm.
on these flights and being able to do a good job. Of course, like air traffic controllers only get in the spotlight when something bad happens. Like nobody
Yeah.
pats you on the back for doing a good job. Nobody knows about it because you did a good job. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I guess that's good news. No news is good news, right?
Yes, no
Yeah.
news is good news. But there are like, I mean, I think we have a really good group of guys here,
Mm,
my coworkers, where we do acknowledge, hey man, that was really good. Like that was awesome. We're able to acknowledge when somebody does a good job. We also make fun of somebody who has a really bad job
yeah.
because we want them to get better. Like that was embarrassing. You could do better. Like we will point out those things But I think, yeah, it's like I said, there's only 14,000 people in the in the U.S. that can do this job, and being able to know you're one of those people. I don't know. The job is, yeah. There's a lot of satisfaction with the job.
No,
I
it
would
really
say.
does sound like there would be, especially after all of that training, all that scrutiny, and it just really paying off, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Are there a lot of women in air traffic control?
yeah. Uh, that's another thing. I think more women should apply.
Hmm.
And we do have a group of women at our facility.
Mm-hmm.
There's still not as much, of course. It's very male dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, everybody should try it. I mean, this is just a field that you won't know until you try it.
Yeah,
Really.
definitely.
Yeah.
Um, as you're talking, I was thinking about do you feel like there are characteristics or qualities about yourself that make you a better air traffic controller? Like, do you know, like, this is a very minor example, but like, I don't know, like, it sounds kind of like a video game a little
Yeah, no,
bit.
you can see it like that, especially in the radar room. You just
Uh-huh.
see like aircraft coming in. You have all the information, like, so it is kind of like figuring out. It's critical thinking and problem solving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like figuring out, okay, who's number one, who's two, and how do you make that happen, right?
Right.
And so it is. I mean, yeah, I would say I've heard that before. A lot of people think people who play a lot of video games could be good at it.
Mm.
I think I know people who would be bad at it, probably bad drivers. Unfortunately, like if you can't foresee that you should probably stop a little earlier. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of you have to anticipate and be able to foresee, okay, this probably isn't a good idea. I'm not gonna
Mm-mm.
do that. That's I don't know. That's people with who don't have good awareness. It's probably not a good thing for them
Mm-hmm.
because you need to have a good mental picture and figure out, okay, yeah, you kind of have to be a few steps ahead. If I do this, this should happen. And
Right.
then if it doesn't work out, you should probably be quick to understand that, okay, I need to hurry up and get out of this, like
Oh
get out of
man.
this
So
mess.
this job is not for me, obviously.
I don't know. I don't know how your driving is or your one.
No, my driving's okay. I just like just high stress. I just get really flustered. But
Okay.
so
Yeah,
I definitely
yeah,
could
that's
not do
another good
this.
good characteristic. Somebody that's good under pressure.
Yeah. I
Somebody that's good
can't.
under pressure because yeah, I've seen people get psyched out even before something is gonna happen. Like, because you do get, you knew how many inbounds you have
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
an hour, and so like I've seen trainees get psyched out before it even occurs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
oh, they see
yeah.
all these airplanes coming in. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they
Oh my
already psyched
gosh.
themselves out. And so
Just
yes, get under
anticipating what's
pressure.
gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So
So
like, yeah, that's crazy to me. Just to think about having to manage. But then I would imagine people that are good at this job would truly find like just get an adrenaline rush too,
yes, I think that's
right?
the importance. Yeah, like you have to channel it in a positive way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And I think that's people like I know the popular word these days is grit, and
mm-hmm.
I think that is a very important characteristic to have. Like, well, if you had a bad session, like I said, all right, well, I'm gonna prove to everybody that I can do it, but I'm gonna do a
Mm,
better job the next time.
mm,
Those are just one bad session. Do you know what I mean? You can't
yeah.
dwell on that. You just have to be like, all right, hey, I'm ready. Let's get in. And I think that's one of the good characteristics of a trainee because I'm starting to train people now too, being in the job for 4 years. And I really like it when somebody's like, all right, can we jump in?
Mm,
They see the traffic coming and is like, I want to get a piece of this. Like, I want to get better. And I think that's like a very important characteristic. Like, complacency is probably not a good thing. And I think that's something that I've seen good controllers do while I was training.
mm.
And so I kind of wanted to emulate that while I
Yeah.
was training. I was like, okay, yeah, there's only one way of getting better. Iron sharpens iron, right? Like, I have to get my butt kicked and then figure out, okay, this is what I did wrong. Probably do this, try this,
Yeah.
get better at it.
That's like just good advice all around, whether
Yes,
air traffic
yes. I think
control
that's just in general. Yes, exactly. Like grit, like I said,
Yes.
that's just a good characteristic overall.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day too for the podcast, and yeah, that was their advice too. Just do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we are coming up on our hour together, but I have like I feel like I could talk for longer. However, um I was wondering before we end our time, is there any advice that you would give somebody that maybe is thinking about air traffic control or and just any advice in general?
yeah, I'd say we need more air traffic controllers. There's a shortage of air traffic controllers, and
Mm,
that's why they're hiring so many people. So I would definitely say if you are interested, I'll give my info to Blair,
mm-hmm.
and you can definitely reach out to me. I'm always really excited when I see another Asian air traffic controller.
Oh yeah, so they're not a lot of Asians.
No, no, I am like the second Asian to ever set foot in this facility.
Yeah, we need more
And
Asian American
yeah, yeah,
air traffic controllers. I
yeah.
feel like it's just
I
again
think a
lack
lot of
of
people would be good.
yeah, and I just feel like
It's
lack of exposure. Like no
just
one
like I
thinks
said, like I think my biggest regret is not finding out earlier. Like I
mm,
see like there's like 21, 22-year-old kids. Like I call
mm.
them kids now. Like I'm working side by side to them, and I'm like, wow, I wish I would have found out about this job way earlier.
Right.
Like they're set. Like I said, it's a well-paying job.
Hmm.
There's good benefits because you're a government employee. You retire early. We have a
Mm.
retirement age of 56
Oh, that's super
because
early.
because of the because of the stress and the mental capacity that you need to be able to do the job.
Right, right.
So they have an early retirement age, and so there also is a age requirement. You have to be 30 and younger to apply to the
Mm,
job, because the work your career span is so short. So they require you to be 30 or younger to
mm.
get hired.
So
But
I
yeah,
guess
I
there is
definitely
a
tell.
too late for this job.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, like I think there's like some of my friends. I really think they could have been. I think they'd be pretty good at it. I
Mm,
mean, of course, there's no telling, but I wish they would have had at least the opportunity to pursue it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so yeah, whoever is interested, like I said, it's well, it pays well. Other than the shift work and the training, I think it's a great job. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for just sharing your story and also telling us more about air traffic control. I have learned so much from our time together. So thanks again,
No,
Jay.
thank you. Thanks, Blair.
Thanks, guys, for listening today. I hope you enjoyed our episode. If, like Jay said, if you have any questions about air traffic control, feel free to reach out to podcastwigu@gmail.com. That's